Okay, take a look. This is why I'm not mad at people who might carry cameras and record everything anymore, because you can't just rely on businesses, because even if they still have the bandwidth, I mean not the bandwidth, the storage available to store a video of something that happened within the week, simply because they know that you could possibly get some sort of lawsuit started, and they could wind up becoming involved in that lawsuit somehow, some way, and they don't want the extra headache, they'll delete it. I've seen that happen before. Even Fred Meyer did the same thing. They put me through the ringer telling me to go get a lawyer so that I can get this tape where I was hit by a car. I didn't want to sue anybody. I just wanted to see how cool it was. God allowed me to survive getting hit by a car, but I guess it was going to show how it was intentional on Fred Meyer's property, and I could have gotten much more money for it. But and I finally got a lawyer. They refused to give the tape to the lawyer, and then Fred Meyer's lawyers used the camera, saying that they were going to video record me on the telling the story. It was like a psychological thing. So really, back in 2014 is when these companies was doing stuff to me. Like, I wouldn't necessarily call it gang stalking, but it was along the lines of that, because that was like, that didn't make any sense. And that's when I was hit by a guy who tried to hit me off of my bike, and on March 14th, 2014, I believe it was, or 2013 or 2014, one of the two. Yeah, it was 2014. So then the lawyers, they set up a camera to watch me tell my side of the story of what happened, and then they awarded me whatever much it may altogether, it might have been just 16 grand or something like that. But one of the dudes who used to work at Fred Meyer, he said, "Man, they ripped you off. You could have at least got 30K for that." And I was like, "Man, you know what? You're right." Plus the game that they played, they said they're not giving me the tape, and they said I need to get a lawyer for it. Then when I went to go get a lawyer for it, they said they didn't have it. And I went, they just played this game. So anyways, just guys, don't be offended if you see people because recording you, because if you're not doing nothing wrong, they can't really do nothing about what they got on camera anyways. That's why I stopped caring about them having gang stalkers come and try to record me for no reason. So yeah, they make excuses. That was talking about my therapist Chidozie Urim, how he lied and made a false claim after saying I don't take his time. I mean, basically, he feels like I'm taking his time for granted because I wanted to cancel a session and not fall asleep on him during it. And I didn't sleep the night before because I was at work, and I couldn't sleep during the day because it was bright outside. Got off work at like 3 o'clock in the morning and had to go pick up my son all the way in Hillsboro, Oregon. Didn't get back until near 5 o'clock in the morning, and couldn't get right to sleep. And then the meeting with the therapist was like 11 o'clock, between 11 and 12, and I knew if I stayed up for a few hours I might fall asleep and miss the meeting. So I called him. That was a courtesy, instead of just missing the meeting, which has happened before in the past, and I apologized to him and he accepted it. But when I called him to cancel it, he said he felt like I was taking his time for granted. The same therapist that was rushing me in my session to get to other patients, to other clients, to give everyone a fair amount of time, or fair, to be fair to everyone, to have their time with him during the week. That's not my fault. You need to plan your schedule a lot better, Chidozie. That's how I feel about it. So anyways. And they're ignoring me by not saying anything or even telling me there's nothing they can do about it or acknowledging they received it. Every last one of these people at least 3 organizations that work together, especially involving me in this fraudulent CPS case, and I had to work with all of them in unison. They all ignored, they didn't respond, they didn't reply or even acknowledge that I sent those emails. Amongst themselves, they did, because he said they sent an email to him and he said he gonna tell me it didn't make any sense. Now later in another video I'm gonna show you guys the video why he probably says it doesn't make sense. But one, I don't think he has the mental capacity for it to make sense to him, because he's one of those people that's so deeply programmed. If he saw the proof happening right in front of his face, he'd still choose to deny it. But watch. That's the people upstairs making the bump noises again. But yeah, anyways, he's about to say a contradictory thing of, it's usually not, they're ignoring you, blah, blah, blah. But he's about to say how he says to himself when he's overwhelmed, he doesn't have to respond. And that's what all these people have done. They're not that overwhelmed. Every time some of the times I come in there, they're just sitting there at their desk talking to each other. I guess that's what they consider busy, while they're listening to slow jams during the day, especially at SEI. That's what I witnessed. Some older woman. Not old, but like maybe in their 30s and 40s. See, now he's talking about things that don't relate to what I'm saying as an example, saying people from a year ago. Even if it's from a year ago, you guys are working with me again on an active investigation after closing one out a year ago. So what the story he's saying now does not relate to, it doesn't make sense to, according to what I was saying about these people currently ignoring me during an active investigation. So if she did what she did as a courtesy, I guess that's excusing her not getting back to him for a month and him wondering why he hadn't heard back from her. And a month later, he finally gets my information through my son's speech pathologist, because I was informing her on what was going on as well. And she was quite helpful during the course of this situation by even giving me small advice on, like, make sure I have a paper trail by making a police report with the police, and it's not their job to say I'm crazy and whatever. That's exactly what they did, though, saying I'm paranoid, and barely wanted to give me the number for the incident report. Excuse me, and told me it's hard for them to fathom any of the stuff that I was saying. I felt like he was just playing with me, bro. The police officer. And I was saying, and this is the people that they have being officers out here. Go figure. But anyways, her doing, Mrs. Andrews from Metropolitan Public Defender's Office, doing whatever she's doing to help me as a courtesy still doesn't excuse her being silent for 1 month and then reaching out to me, asking me to give her my phone number because she thought she didn't have the correct one when it still was the same number that she recently got. And they do have both of my email addresses. They chose not to reach out, and now they're trying to find a way to make it fall back on me, like it's my fault that they couldn't reach me, but they chose to ignore. If she was doing it out of a courtesy, that doesn't mean that you ignore somebody and then don't she didn't even communicate with him. So making an excuse for her to act like it's okay that she didn't respond, that doesn't make sense, because part of the reason why he took forever and just didn't care anymore is because she didn't respond. Now you have a case open past 60 days. You're already, isn't that illegal? Like, you're dragging some stuff on, then now when you're ready, you're trying to force me to get a bunch of stuff done in a certain amount of time. You're not doing your job the right way in the first place. You're not even doing your job. Hold on. And I was being a smart ass at that point, saying, well, if she's not really my attorney, and she doesn't have to respond, even though she did what she did as a courtesy and also had me sign a release of information and was doing things that attorneys do for people, like making sure that he doesn't have any conversations with me unless she's present. She even made me sign something about that, saying, and she sent me another email saying the same thing. But you mean to tell me because she did as a courtesy, it's okay if she doesn't say anything to me? She just drops the ball and goes incognito. She goes incognito. She's not a Negro though, but I just said that just for fun. But the thing is, if you're acting like if you're behaving like you're my attorney, even if you're not my attorney, and part of the communication has to be done through you, but you choose to just not say anything, and then this man he's not putting in full effort, obviously, because it's been a month, he haven't heard back from you. Neither did he try any harder to get in touch with you. He could have went to Christina, the lady who closed the case before, and gotten my email addresses, or went to Metropolitan Public Defender's office to talk, if he to Don, if he really cared that much about going ahead and closing this case out. She even put it in the email that this case has gone on for about 6 months now. Why is it taking so long? But I told her that he told me that she was the one who didn't say anything to him for a whole month when he requested some information from her. But then in the midst of her not requesting, in the midst of her being silent and not saying anything to him when he requested information, she was trying to come to me with a certain tone in an email, telling me if she don't hear back from me by Monday, then she gonna tell him he don't have any rights to proceed, basically. And I'll show all this on an email next time, but I only have I don't see the percentage I have left on the battery, but it's probably down to 4%. It might cut off, but I just wanted to get this little piece in here to show how the stupidity behind these government workers that they put in a position, but because of their they basically can ruin someone's life because of their perception, their perspective, how they see something. And basically the determination of you moving forward or being held back, and the process is determined, is what I meant to say, is based upon how they view the situation. And obviously these people, they're showing that they're incompetent, is basically what I'm trying to get at. So guess what he just said? I had to make a new safety plan, and they wanted to review it. My lawyer and her assistant wanted to review the safety plan. So if this is not an open case, why are they having me do this stuff again? See, they're inconsistent with their information. I had to do another safety plan. I have the packet it's updated now too. So he said, if it was an actual open investigation, I would have had to do a safety plan. I would have to do blah, blah, blah. And they had me basically trying to do the same things that they tried to have me do, that they did have me do when the case was an actual open investigation with the courts involved. The courts technically is not involved, but they still had me saying, you got to fill out, make a new safety plan and blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. They all trying to stay in my business to see what's updated, what I got going on. And then Dawn's assistant trying to tell me she thinks that I need to get back connected with SCI because SCI be in my business, and she works with SCI. She knows Hassan, whatever his name, I was going to say Hassan. That's not, I was going to say the other dude on YouTube, but his name is Hassan. I almost said Hassan Campbell for some reason, but he is hella light skinned, just like Hassan Campbell, and he's really tall. He's one of the members the board of commission people for the SEI, and even one day that guy just sat at the table during a graduation. He kind of gave me this weird energy and weird vibes and looking over at me, but he didn't say anything that time. He and just almost like judgmental. But anyways, that's not important. It's just that I noticed how they was basically trying to keep me in the loop with these different programs and organizations just so that they can get funding. Basically, it's almost the same thing as recidivism. They're just trying to keep me in a loop. Like I said before, they create an obstacle course. You pass. If you pass the obstacle course, see, confirmation. If you pass the obstacle course, they force you to play their game again. And this time they're slacking to force you to have to. They dragging their feet, like my domestic violence advocate admitted that she was doing. They drag their feet to prolong the process, and then they want me to get violent and act out so that they can really have money to say, oh, she acting out, we got to put her in the psychiatric hospital or put her in jail so we can make money off her and take her kid and pay some of these foster parents and also abuse the children and do all this other extra stuff. They take this stuff to the max, y'all. So I'm just showing this so you can see the truth and the reality of these organizations in the government and what they really do behind the scenes and how they tarnish people's character and try to ruin your reputation so you can be seen a certain way. And some of the people behind the scenes doing it, they have some of these people planted in your neighborhood watching and spying on you, making false reports on you and stuff, and all of them is gang stalking you. All of them are cowards. They're worthless in my eyes. So please pay attention. I hope that someone can heed this. I'm not a victim. I don't feel like a victim. I feel like a victor, even in this situation of them constantly trying to bog down on me. They've been doing this for 2+ years now, trying to have me in these programs. I already got my son back. The therapist is the one that need to be evaluated. I'll talk about that some other time because it's because of him. He did this being spiteful to get me back in the system because he knows deep information about me and he used it against me because he started getting in his feelings, being jealous, a happiness hater. All right, thanks.